Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another church tech tour, and we're here in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma at the church at Battle Creek. So it's gonna be a good one. Let's head inside. Okay, so we're here inside, and I'm here with Josh Stevens, who is the man in charge of all things tech and media, and he's going to be our guide for the tour today. So Josh, just tell us a little bit about yourself and about the church here.
Yeah, well, I've been here 7 years at Battle Creek Church. We have 6 campuses in the Tulsa area. We also have a partnership in Egypt and Jordan, and so yeah, we've gone from more scenic style to lighting design, and we've done several upgrades and everything like that. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. All right, so we're just going to walk through AVL and take you guys along for the ride today. So let's get going.
We're in the front of house audio booth. This is Justin Reddick. He's our audio director, and is the best looking audio director in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Easily.
But just a high level overview of this is we have a front of house console, and we have a separate room in the back that we do our broadcast audio and we have 3 different mixes for local, for our campuses, and then for online. But the rest I'll let Justin talk about.
All right, yeah. So this is our front of house booth. We're running a D-Live. We've got the S7000 here on stage and the DM64 mix rack back in on stage there with the 32 channel expander. So we have 96 channels of analog audio coming from the stage, and those both split out and hit here and back in our broadcast room. Some of the fun stuff we're doing here is we are running waves with Super Rack, also multi-track recording. I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to actually running plugins in waves, so I do as much as I can in the console. So you'll see that I am using some of their like compressor models for like my vocals. Love the 1176, love the multi-band compressor they have built into the D-Live. One of the recent additions we have here is we are actually running pitch correction live in the room through waves, and I have it set so that I can punch any key over here and it will switch to that key for the song, or I can dump out of it if they do a verbal moment or something.
Does that do it over MIDI or?
Yeah. So it's sending a MIDI note from the console into the wave server that is changing the key, which I can show you real quick here. So whatever we want to jump to, they can just hop to that key if something changes on the fly, and then if they're doing something different, I can bypass it with a button as well.
So that is not pre-programmed into your Ableton set?
It's not coming from Ableton. I do it separately based off of the keys they put in on Planning Center.
So it's dependent on you to change the key?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm controlling it
don't fail.
From here. Yep. Don't fail me.
Has that happened before?
Not in a service yet. So, and if I start to hear some wayward note or something's not right, this button is always very close at hand.
Okay, so that's cool, front of house. What about your PA and what you're using to reinforce in the room?
Yeah, so we have a EV line array in here with 7 boxes per side. It is original to this room. So it is, Josh would know this date better, but I believe it's about 16 years old at this point. Which is old enough to drive a car if you're keeping track. I think it got its learner's permit last year and is starting to get its own legs. But so 2 main hangs, there's 2 outfills. It is a 120-degree box. If you see, our room is pretty wide, and even with the wider boxes, we are stretching to cover the room with the system we have. It has held up pretty well, but it's starting to show its age, and we're starting to see other people and look for new options. So
Cool. So how do you guys do your stage monitoring?
so everyone, both in the band and on the frontline vocals, are all mixing themselves via iPads, and it's all run off the console. So actually, over here, I have it pulled up. We have all of our mixes right here, so I can hop over and mix whoever needs to, if they need a change during rehearsal or whatever, or they have their iPads parked somewhere just off stage so they can walk over and make a change if they need to. But they're all just mixed from front of house for right now, with mainly them controlling their own mixes.
So what's the best thing about this board? Like why would someone want this kind of board over like the Wing or something like that that's a step down?
Right.
Like what's so special about this?
Right. So a couple of things. The biggest one for me is the I/O flexibility you have. If you fill out every card slot on here, you can pass 800 channels bidirectionally. So it's just massive what you can do. And then you can do 128 channels of actually like processed audio on the console. That wasn't me, I promise. But yeah, so flexibility is huge. It can really speak almost any language. Like I was talking about before, we have a Dante card, we have a Waves card, there's MADI cards for them. So kind of any format you're looking to live in or that you need to integrate into a system that you already have, this can pretty much do that. And to get something that comes even close to the I/O flexibility of this, you're spending triple, quadruple the amount that it costs. So it's really good. And then the things it does well. Like I talked a little bit before, I love the compressors that it has in it. Having 64 multiband processors built into the thing is just fantastic. It's like, oh yeah, I'll fix this and this and this and this, throw that on there, and we're happy. And then anything that I can't do in the console, just throw up in Waves. Our music director, Brandon, fires all the tracks from the stage, and those run over Dante back to here. I have gotten a little bougie with my track setup. We have 21 channels of tracks coming from the stage, broken out. Like we have separate pad channels, percussion, auxiliary, bass, 2 guitars, 3 keys, piano, strings, and background vocal. And then the 21st channel is time code coming from Ableton as well. But so I have my whole layer here that per song I can go in and really mix things. And generally during the week, I'll grab that tracks computer from Brandon and kind of pre-mix stuff for the weekend. But yeah, and we can go look up it on stage next if you want.
All right, Justin, we're back here at the racks. Tell us all about what you got going on.
So this is our audio brain for the Worship Center. So we've got 10 channels of ULXD. I'm still rocking a couple channels of Shure UHFR, the old stuff for our acoustics. They just sound great on acoustic guitars. Our in-ears are right here, and these are all PSM 900s. Antenna distribution, the wave servers back here at this rack, and then network switches for Dante and production network stuff. And these are all cables that are going back to, falling out. These all go under the stage to the drum platform and the keys riser back over there for if we need to run Ableton or we need to run something else special from on stage. These come up through a floor pocket. Then down here is the DM64 for our D-Live. This is actually the brain where all of the mixing is happening out here.
So that's a digital snake?
Yep. So the D-Live is kind of cool in the way that it works is all of your processing is actually happening in this rack on stage, and then your control surface out at front of house is just like a big keyboard and mouse essentially. So if something were to happen and that board were to go down or to freeze up, I can pull out my laptop and still control everything because all the processing is actually happening in this box on stage. And this is the expansion that I mentioned earlier for it. This is just an extra 32 inputs that gets us up to 96 channels on stage. This is just stage cabling as we need it. They're kind of organized to, there's antenna cables here in the corner, 1/4 inches, the XLRs on this middle row. That kind of goes to power kind of below that. And then this top right corner is the random other audio things you might run into, USB cables, headphone extenders.
And it's just a bicycle rack on a piece of wood?
Yep, it's a 2x4 screwed to the wall with a bicycle hook, just from, yep.
That's smart.
Got the nice rubber on it. And so this right here is a backup speaker that we have on a little cart that just lives here all the time. And if we take a power hit or something happens and takes our main PA down, this is just ready to roll out at a moment's notice, turn this way, and we can at least get the pastor or worship leader through here and with just one fader move. And it is plugged into it's plugged into UPS over there, so it will stay on even if the building loses power. All of our audio systems are all on battery backup, so we have at least a few minutes if power goes down.
Yep, tell us about this cool storage cell.
Okay, so we've got some cubbies up here for each of the individual positions so that whoever is leading worship on Sunday can kind of empty their pockets and dump all of their things in here. Then all of our microphones and in-ear packs are all on just wireless not wireless, but charging bays, so they can walk up every week. I kind of relabel these with who's on what mic, so they know. Just walk up, find their name, grab their pack, grab their mic, walk on stage. And iPad charging station. We do have a cool-ish little iPad charger for our lead vocals that we just bring the one stand out there and throw it on the center of the stage for rehearsal and then bring it back here when we're done.
Okay, so once you get all the audio, that's
Yep.
what you're doing with it, but talk to us about how you're capturing it at the sources here, starting with the drums.
Yeah, so drums are one of my favorite things to mic, mix, play with, like spend hours and hours and hours finding different microphones and fidgeting with things. So this is our kind of Franken drum mic set. I will talk about the drums a little bit. We have a CNC custom kit and a Black Beauty snare, so very standard worship snare. But this is one of my favorite sounding drum kits. I was very happy when I came here and this is what was on stage. I was like, yes, we will get along. But yeah, I'll talk through what mics I have where. So in the kick is the very standard, just Beta 91 and a Beta 52 in the sound hole. Snare, got a SM7 on the top and a Beta 87 on the bottom. The hi-hat just has, it's like a PG81, just a whatever trashy small diaphragm condenser. We are currently under miking our cymbals. We got Beta 98s on the two crashes. The ride has a SM81. And then toms, we got a Beta 56 on the small one. The first of the floor toms got a 421 and the second beefy one's got Beta 52 on it. That's our drums. We do have some baffles around our drum kit. Mainly what these are doing, we have a big room with a high ceiling that I'm not really worried about cymbals getting to causing too many problems out for the congregation, but they are mainly stopping cymbal bleed for the background vocalists who are kind of right here in front of the drum kit and making it a little more pleasant on stage for everyone. And these we actually got through just a local plastics manufacturing company. I spec'd out, hey, give me this size of acrylic with a 5/16 hole in the middle. And saved a bit of money doing it sort of the DIY way.
It's just on a drum stand?
Yep, just on a regular cymbal stand. Okay, so this is where our music director Brandon runs tracks from. I think he's currently working on them for the weekend right now, so the computer's not here, but just runs Ableton off MacBook Pro running Dante Virtual Sound Card, and then he fires them with, they've got the little Looptimus Mini pedal that they use. And then he's also our lead guitar player, so he runs through just straight into a Kemper, which we have a second Kemper for rhythm guitar as well, or sometimes the guys bring their own rigs as well.
So Looptimus just to go between songs, or y'all Any free fly moments or anything like that?
Very occasionally there will be something free flow where he'll just pause it, or he can, I think they have the other 2 buttons set up on there so they can mute all the tracks and just leave the click running, and then go between songs. And then if he needs to, he can always grab the computer and click which section they need to jump to or whatever.
So coming out of his computer that's sitting there,
Yep.
MacBook Pro.
Yep.
What kind of interface? Did you already say that?
We run virtual sound card, so it just
Dante.
runs right into the Dante stream. Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep. All right, so this is our broadcast audio suite. We're running another D-Live, this time the C3500 with the DM32 mix rack back here. All the same amount of processing's all still available. It is just a little smaller format console to fit the space a little better. And so in here we're running, still running the old version of Waves. If it likes to cooperate. It's getting an upgrade soon, but you can see we're still running tracks live on this computer too. Those will get upgraded at the same time. We're also running pitch correction on this console that is changing via scenes. So if you can get in tight enough, you can see that there's a note for which key each of the songs that we're doing on Sunday was in, and those are firing scenes in multi-rack to change all of the auto tunes over. And it is also MIDI linked with this computer over here that's doing some playback things. So that plays like pre-service music that goes out online to our web stream, running just royalty-free stuff. And that also, the tracks are changing with the scene recalls on the console too. So that one's pretty fun. Multi-view to keep us watching what's happening in the room. And then we actually have a second multi-view over here that shows our online program and preview, where that's the room. So when we're doing like the online only pre-show, they can watch that over there and then still know what's going on in the room.
QLab?
Yep, QLab just for playback stuff. We do have, we're running a QSys system for all of our kind of distributed locations in the building here. That's like lobby speakers and the hallways and all that stuff.
So no processing of main audio through
Main
QSys.
audio is not happening through QSys yet. Maybe like one day we might move that way. But right now it's just for distributed stuff. This is the speaker control for the monitors. They're just Yamaha HS8s, and there is a sub down there as well. And
You got these other little janky speaker to kind of get an idea of
that's actually running our comms are coming through that.
Okay.
So he can hear the comms the whole time, and the comms are actually splitting out and hit the desk where we can send separate audio to both back into the comm system, and we're getting the audio from the comms here and can send it other places we need audio or listen in.
Anything special you've done to this room to help with mixing that you give tips to people if they're doing a little mix suite like this?
Yeah, so this room is actually floor to ceiling covered in whisper wall. And then behind you there's also a wood diffuser.
So this is our video room. Basically, in this room, I don't have a video director right now. We typically do. So we're looking for one. Hey, hit me up if you are interested. But we have several positions in here. So we have 2 computers right now for graphics and lyrics. This is what we call graphics 1. This is what we call graphics 2. This is a backup, but we also use this for online. So we'll do this countdown that's scrolling right now, so that people know, how much time's left. We do a pre-show at the beginning of service, so that'll be rolling during that. We literally just switch to Pro 7. I know we're late to the game, but we'd rather be late and let everyone else work out the kinks. So, but this has worked really well for us to have kind of the 2 computer setup. If this crashes, which my 7 years, this has not crashed. So, and then having this as a backup. This is our Resi, where we have a position for someone to set cues for our campuses. So the way that it works is we'll create a cue for, sorry, this is also used for editing stations, which is why we have two keyboards and mouse. But so they'll put in the cue, and then this is what the campuses will see. So we have a stream check in the morning. We have a 9 a.m. start. We have a pad cue that goes down because at our campuses they'll pad locally, like the keyboard player at the campus will pad because our online mix does not send pad to the campus stream. So and then we have a 9 a.m. end. That way they have a countdown for when that's coming up. So that's a position. And then our Pastor Alex, he does teleprompter word for word. He gives us color coding for lower thirds. We use a stage TV, so we have a color coding chart that we use, and so it lets us know. Even in here, you can see on the monitor, the video director can anticipate when he's going to go to the TV because you can see.
So this one right here is.
Yep.
Okay.
That one's the.
How do they scroll? Because we're doing this at our church as well. How does your teleprompter person scroll?
Slide by slide.
It's slide. It's not
Yep.
scrolling. Okay.
Yep.
It's actually just ProPresenter.
We'll format it and send it back to him. And our pastor has ProPresenter on his laptop, and he edits ProPresenter stuff too. So it's pretty cool.
All right. Lower level. What do we got going on here?
So down here we have our shading position. This really is just, irising up and down. And this typically is a starting position for somebody new to the team. This is a great opportunity to hear how we communicate on comms. They get to see all the shots that we're taking. And then it's a natural move to camera if needed. So we have that. And then we have our switcher position, which in traditional ranks, you would call it TD, but just for clarity's sake, we just call it switcher. So we have the Ross Carbonite Black 2ME switcher, and so we have our room down here, and then we have our online feed down here, and then we actually have a bunch of mini-me's and auxes that we send different things. Like our campuses can get something completely separate than what our room does, or online can get something completely separate.
And your campuses are getting your feed through Resi.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how much of a delay?
It's like 40 seconds.
Okay.
A minute. But we do a internal buffer. So we say they have an extra song, or they start a minute late or something. So, and it's all different, but typically they'll have one extra song, or if they have like a longer announcement that day, they'll do announcements a little bit longer. We do have a speaker here, so typically we take for audio up here, we take our campus feed, which is just our local feed. But if we have something web specific we need to hear, we have this, and it's controlled with that little controller. And then our video director sits over here, and they're the ones calling the shots. And then this is just to monitor to make sure we're in focus.
All right, let's dive into cameras.
Yep.
My favorite part.
Yeah. So we have 4 of our, we call them on sticks, but on tripods, but we have 4 Vericam LTs, and those are our main shots. Well, 1 and 2 are our main shots in the front house booth, but then we have 4 roaming cameras. We use the Panasonic EVA 1s, and these are more on stage. We have these on stage, and then we use the Panasonic S1Hs, and these are used in the audience typically, and they can go either way. But
what lenses are you changing lenses a lot, or
not really?
Standard?
They're pretty standard.
35 on there.
On here.
No, what's this?
This is 18 to 80 on the EVA, And then this is the 24 to 70.
Oh, okay.
So they're pretty standard. And then you can crop the lens on these pretty easily. And so we do that a lot. Like if we're far back, we'll crop it in, and it looks pretty good on these. And these have the Lumix lenses. This is the Canon lens. So
show me your wireless that you're using there.
Yep. So we use Vaxis here. We do have one Teradek, but we chose to move to Vaxis when we got all the roaming cameras.
And have you been pretty happy with it?
Absolutely.
Is it Vaxis Storm?
Yep. So these are the same Panasonic Vericam LTs as the side cameras, but this is our wide shot. It has a wide lens. We have a 20 to 120 on this one, and then 85 to 300 lens on this one. They're Fujinon Cabrio.
Savvy mounts, or what is that? The poles?
Oh, these were just custom made.
Y'all just made those yourself?
Yeah,
too?
yeah. These were custom built for this scenario.
And so you got focus and zoom demands?
Yep. So here's our focus. Here's our zoom.
You got one that's usually like a head to toe, one that's a really tight shot, or are you pulling out and doing really wides from here as well?
Here, you can come look at so we have this actually cropped in, but that's our wide shot that we like. If we didn't crop in, we could get screen to screen out here.
Gotcha.
And then we have this one cropped in. This is our tight shot, and we have this cropped in so we can get really like, like your face basically. Yeah. Over here, this really isn't video per se, but this slot in our this desk is for our service director. So we have a position called service director here, which is really like a producer would be. They're just making sure the band and production are in sync and we're operating as one team. They do. We have this little MacBook Air, and they do Planning Center Live.
Okay.
And they're going through and making sure we're on time and stuff. So that's what we have this clock for. This monitor just does the clock for us. And then here they're able to switch. Like if they need to see what is going on with teleprompter, you just hit the destination you want, and then you can go to teleprompter, and they can hone in on, okay, what does teleprompter have?
So if you guys are interested in this privacy screen thing, maybe you have a really wide room, we kind of have a new version of this that may be a little better solution than what you guys have had this how many years now though?
5 years.
5 years. So now we have ones that they actually are like a screen protector that just kind of sit flush onto it and they suck to the TV. And we've been pretty happy with it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, this was ghetto. We just
But it works awesome.
It works great, yeah. We just cut a bunch of sheets.
Yeah.
And because I think we got like 4 sheets for this.
Okay, where'd you get the big clock?
Amazon.
Amazon? Okay.
Yeah.
Links in the description.
LED walls, if you want to talk about that. So our LED walls are Epson A3 Pros. We got them like 6 years ago. They've been awesome.
What
so
pixel pitch are they?
3.9.
Yeah, they look awesome in the room. What's the processor you're using for these?
Nova Pro HDs.
Okay. And that's, how are you sending the content to them?
Through Resolume.
Through Resolume,
Yeah.
okay.
But we also have a feed from our switcher. So like I can send anything video wise.
Are you doing iMag in the room?
iMag is in the room.
Yeah.
For the most part. Sometimes we choose creatively to
Sure.
not do that.
Yeah.
But. All right, this is Josh Tingle, another Josh. Battle Creek has a lot of Joshes, but Josh came from ORU, and we hired him literally last year. He's been here a year, and this dude is amazing at lighting. He is a legit lighting director, so I'll let him kind of talk into all that.
Yeah, so we're pretty dynamic with our lighting. So we're console-wise, we're running an MA2 ultralight Can't go wrong. Boo Vista. Just kidding. Vista's great. We use Vista at all of our campuses. This is the only campus that we actually use something other than Vista at, and only in this room. Vista's just great for our volunteers to be easy to run. In this room, we just need more control with the amount of lights we have. All of the video content on the center wall is being driven by Resolume that I'm controlling from the lighting console. So like I'll preload backgrounds and stuff, and then I can trigger them from the lighting console.
You know what's crazy is I didn't realize that was video wall. All those beams, I thought that was light beams.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so I have like, every song is different video content. I just try and match the colors on whatever backgrounds I'm running to the lighting.
So are you pre-programming every cue on a Sunday morning and just running it pre-synced or
Yeah.
in a playlist or?
Yeah, so we're pretty rehearsed, and once they kind of nail down a set and how we're doing it, usually it's pretty consistent. So everything's pre-programmed out. Most of the time someone is queuing through things live still. Just that way, if the band goes off script or something, they can still run with them. If it's something crazier, we'll run time code from tracks that'll just trigger everything.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay, so break down just your fixtures that you're using currently.
So we have,
Start with house lights and key lights.
so house lights, they are some generic incandescent light. They work.
They're not LED?
They are not LED. We would like to go LED one day down the road.
Okay.
Key light is actually 6 moving lights. So we are running 6 Elation Saturas. And it's super even, but for like singers, I can go super tight so I can highlight just a single singer.
So they're zoom variable white or just?
They are
CMY
white. Yeah,
or?
they are white with CMY and a CTO wheel.
Okay.
But yeah, they work great.
So what kind of white, I mean, it's pretty high white. What are you doing, like 5600?
Yeah, the key is like 5320, I think, but once you add in the super warm house lights, which is what we're chipped to, we're at 4400.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, and then you got a lot of intelligence, and we talked a little bit about your LED wall. Talk me through some of those.
Yeah, so we have, right now I have the 6 key lights, and then I have 6 more of the same fixture on stage. They're Elation Satura profiles. I have 8 ZW washes, which are these guys just on my towers.
Who makes ZW washes?
Also Elation.
Okay.
I have 12 Elation 7 battens, and then some really old school Chauvet Q washes that still work great, and then 5 MK3 washes by Chauvet.
Love those. Okay, so that's a lot of fixtures. Do you own all these fixtures? How do you do that?
We don't. There are actually very few that we own. The only thing that is owned is the Q washes in the back and the MK3 washes. Everything else is leased.
So that way you can change looks every 6 months, year?
Yeah, it's about, we do around Thanksgiving time, and then right before Easter is kind of our 2 set changes.
So who would you recommend that for? What kind of church? Like, is that a smart move for? Because we've thought about that, but.
I think it really it depends on a lot of things. Budget is a big one because leasing isn't cheap, but buying fixtures also isn't cheap. It kind of depends financially how you operate, if it's easier to break it down into like month-to-month chunks or like big purchases all at once. Long term, it's definitely cheaper to buy, but then you don't have the flexibility.
Yeah, then you're locked in.
And you have the upfront costs then.
All right, I really appreciate you guys taking me around and just showing me the ropes. We really just scratched the surface, guys. I mean, you guys have a whole recording suite and different areas, student areas. I mean, tell me a little bit about just this church and how it used to be a certain thing and it's kind of transformed. How did all that happen?
Yeah, so when I came here, it was literally just me, and then we built a staff team, but all the while, it's been about the volunteers. And so right now we have a staff of 3. We will have 4 when we hire a video director. But we have, just for this worship center at Broken Arrow, the broadcast site, we have 71 volunteers. And so, and we call them the Dream Team because they are, and literally the ministry mindset, the gear is great and it's awesome. It's needed to share the gospel, it's endless.
Yeah.
But what matters the most is 5 years down the road, how we loved each other.
Yeah.
And the Bible talks about that, just how we love each other. That's how people will know we love God. And so we have tried to do that. That's why we say never just another Sunday, which I stole. I stole that from Stephen Brewster. I give him all the credit. But I love the mantra, and we have kind of just taken that on here. And what that means to us is every opportunity we have to do a service, somebody could have an encounter with God. And it doesn't take a service to have an encounter with God, but it is an opportunity that's like easy.
Yeah.
And so they could receive salvation.
Yeah.
They could break bondage of addiction. They could be restored with a spouse. And there's so many possibilities of God moving, and that's how we have always handled it. But we've been blessed. We've gone from a little to what, it's all relative, but what can be perceived as a lot. And the thing that I would say to encourage all churches, do the best you can with what you have. That's all you can control. That's all you can do. And just remember what you're doing it for. And if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then that's not going to be good. And the outcome, typically people can see that.
Exactly.
Leadership can see that.
Yeah.
And so leadership has been awesome here. And but it's because we did it the right way. We did it the way that our leadership would want us to do it, Pastor Alex. And we want to see people engaged and serving. So even though I have a staff team of audio director, a lighting director, and a video director, and then me, each person here, the main goal isn't for lighting to be awesome.
Yeah.
For video, the main goal is to get others engaged in serving in those areas.
Yeah, help equip people to do the ministry.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, this is not my first time being here. And honestly, after coming here the last 2 times I came here on my sabbatical, I was just like, we got to come back at some point and just scratch the surface a little bit about how you guys are using tech to create avenues for people to worship. And you guys always are giving God the glory. So if you guys want more information or just want to see your services, where do they go on YouTube?
Yeah, so go to battlecreekchurch.com or youtube.com/Battle Creek, or you can go to battlecreekchurch.com. We've got stuff on there. You'll have links to YouTube and everything. But
well, if there's something that we didn't hit in this little tech tour and you have a question, drop it in the comments, and I'm sure that if I don't know it, I'll hit them up and we'll answer your questions as best as we can. Remember, guys, it's all about doing great things for God's glory. So thanks for checking out the tech tour. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, and these guys were awesome. So we will see you in the next one.